At the point of signing off on the program last week, we promoted the second episode of our focus on the interventions of the Central Bank of Nigeria in the healthcare sector. Specifically, we promised that the next edition of the program will focus on the Healthcare Sector Research and Development Intervention Scheme, HSRDIS, of the CBN. However, a pressing necessity compelled us to alter that schedule and interrupt the review of the interventions of the Apex Bank in the healthcare sector, currently being featured on the program, by bringing you this special edition, which dwells on the highlights of the 281st meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the CBN. Good evening, my name is Chinemerem Joseph and I welcome you to today's edition of You and the Economy. The MPC is the highest policy-making committee of the CBN. It is set up to facilitate the realization of the mandates of the Apex Bank. Through the adjustments made in 4 key economic parameters, namely the monetary policy rate, which is the MPR, or you call it the interest rate, the cash reserve ratio, CRR, liquidity ratio, and the asymmetric corridor, the decisions of the MPC affect virtually every Nigerian and operator in the economy. This time around, the committee not only retained all the key policy parameters, but also gave an update on activities in the foreign exchange market after the ban of forex to bureau de change operators. Well, I covered the 281st meeting of the MPC for You and the Economy, and in this report, I share with you the major highlights of the address of the Governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, which wrapped up the meeting. It's the 5th Monetary Policy Committee meeting in 2021. As usual, several economic issues were deliberated on by the committee and key decisions announced to Nigerians by the Governor of the Apex Bank. The country's growth rate had performed better in the past year. Inflation also declined in the past 5 months consecutively, but still hovers around 17%, among other challenges. The Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the committee is optimistic that the economy will continue to recover.
In the domestic economy, output growth performance continued to improve, signposting the positive impacts of the unwavering fiscal and monetary support by both the fiscal and monetary authorities to revive and sustain economic growth post-pandemic. The committee expressed optimism that with the current level of monetary and fiscal stimulus, as well as efforts to increase vaccination and contain the pandemic, the Nigerian economy will continue to improve in the short to medium term.
On the monetary side, the CBN governor says interventions in various sectors of the economy have been major growth drivers. He gave an update on these interventions and how they are faring.
The bank's Anchor Borrowers program has cumulatively released the sum of 798.09 billion to 3.9 million smallholder farmers cultivating 4.9 million hectares of land across the country. For the 2021 wet season farming, the bank released the sum of 161.18 billion naira to 770,000 smallholder farmers cultivating 7 commodities on 1.1 million hectares across the country. Whilst harvesting for 2020 dry season under the program is rounding up, harvesting activities have commenced for the 2021 wet season cultivation. The Strategic Maize Reserve Program of the Central Bank of Nigeria has been useful in moderating maize prices, particularly by directly targeting large feed mills producers. Under its Commercial Agricultural Credit Scheme (CACS), the CBN has supported 657 large-scale agricultural projects to the tune of 708.39 billion naira. To support MSMEs across the country, the bank disbursed 134.54 billion naira to 38,140 beneficiaries under the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprise Investment Scheme (ACSMIS), and for the Targeted Credit Facility, the sum of 343.21 billion naira has been released to 726,198 beneficiaries, comprising 602 households and 123,468 small and medium enterprises. Under the Real Sector Facility, the bank released the sum of 1 trillion naira to 269 real sector projects, of which 140 are in light manufacturing, 71 in agro-based industry, 47 in services, and 11 in mining. Under the Healthcare Sector Intervention Facility, 103.02 billion has been disbursed to 110 healthcare projects, of which 27 are pharmaceutical, 77 hospital services, and 6 other healthcare service projects. The bank has also disbursed a total of 145.99 billion under the Not Oil Export Stimulation Facility. The CBN has revised the guidelines, working with Nigerian Export-Import Bank to improve access to the intervention and stimulate non-oil export growth in Nigeria. Under the National Mass Metering Program, 41.06 billion naira has been disbursed to 10 discos for the procurement and installation of 759,748 electricity meters. Under the Nigerian Electricity Market Stabilization Facility (NEMS 2), the bank has also released the sum of 145.66 billion naira to 11 discos as loans to provide liquidity support and stimulate critical infrastructure investments to improve service delivery and collection efficiency. In furtherance of its intervention in the energy sector, the bank has also disbursed 39.2 billion naira to 6 beneficiaries to improve gas-based infrastructure to support the federal government's auto gas conversion program. The bank has also encouraged deposit money banks to participate in the solar connection facility to improve energy access in the rural areas. To promote entrepreneurial development, ladies and gentlemen, among Nigerian youths, the bank recently approved the implementation of the Tertiary Institutions Entrepreneurship Scheme. The scheme is designed to promote entrepreneurial activities and foster job creation among Nigerian youths.
In all of these, the committee decided to retain the interest rate at 11.5%. All other monetary parameters were also left unchanged.
MPC weighed the pros and cons of tightening, holding, or loosening. The stance of policy, noting the impact on output growth, price development, unemployment, and exchange rate. The MPC made the decision to hold all policy parameters constant, believing that a hold stance will enable the continued permeation of current policy measures in supporting the recorded growth recovery and macroeconomic stability. Committee therefore decided by a unanimous vote to retain the monetary policy rate at 11.5%. In summary, MPC voted as follows: 1. Retain MPR at 11.5%. 2. Retain asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the corridor. And retain the CRR at 27.5%. 4. Retain liquidity ratio at 30%.
The briefing by the governor would not have ended without explanations on recent trends in the foreign exchange market. This and other issues were clarified during the question and answer session.
Since you stopped selling dollars to BDCs in Nigeria 8 weeks ago, the rate at the segment of the market has skyrocketed. What are your views, and do you have any update on this? Secondly, there are also press reports that the CBN is investigating Aboki FX for certain FX infractions. How true is this?
Yes. 8 weeks ago, yes, you are very correct. We did stop the allocation of foreign exchange to the BDCs. Indeed, we began to ask ourselves, why did you wait for so long that we continued to do this? The reason is because Nigeria remains the only country on earth. The Central Bank of Nigeria remains the only central bank in the world, as at 8 weeks ago, that would dip its hands into its reserves, our commonwealth, and you pack dollars and begin to sell it to bureau de change operators in the market, all in an attempt to stabilize foreign exchange rate in the market. And we should really applaud ourselves that we decided that this will stop, and it has stopped for good. The reason I say this is because the Bank of England does not sell dollar to bureau de change, even though they exist. The Fed does not sell dollar to money, other FX dealers in the United States. Indeed, nobody talks about bureau de change rate on the streets of London. If you go to Oxford Circuits, the exchange rate that a bureau de change operator will give to you on Oxford Circuits is certainly different from the rate that a bureau de change will give you in Camden area of London. Yet, nobody makes any emphasis, ever mentions the rate of bureau de change in the city of London. So, it really beats my imagination that Nigeria carried on with this kind of practice that tended to support illegal activities of people who are involved in graft and involved in corrupt practices. What do? Go collect naira. Instead of collecting naira as bribe, you tell the person to exchange it to dollars so you can have small packet of dollars in your pocket. And yet, Central Bank of Nigeria, in an attempt to moderate rates in that market, decides that it to take dollars from our reserves and begin to support the corrupt tendencies of people. Or is it about, even through its activities, that we have unwittingly supported activities of those who illegally buy foreign exchange from this illegal market, carry them in aircrafts out of the country, and go to buy arms and ammunition, and bring them back into the country and conduct crime, whether it is Boko Haram, whether it is kidnapping, whether it is all sorts of nefarious activities. We, Central Bank, take our country's dollars and sell to people to go and buy arms and ammunition to come and hurt us. That is what we're saying that people want us to continue to do. We cannot do that any longer. We can't. What we're saying, if you have any legal, legitimate business you want to conduct, please take your business to a bank. You want to travel? Go to your bank. They will sell you FX. You want to pay school fees? Go to your bank. They will sell you FX. Pay medical bills, which are some of the reasons that people give for going to bureau de change. Please go to your bank. Indeed, I want to put it on record. If the amount you want is even above the limit that is recognized, and we find that the reason you are making those demands is legitimate, your bank will speak to us and will give you more than what is even the limit. Don't go elsewhere. Go to your bank. In the same vein, you have dollar to sell, go to your bank. That is our position. And people are saying, oh, banks are not selling. We will continue to monitor the bank. And I have said it, if anybody sees a bank, you go to your bank, they don't sell to you, we advertise an email, We had advertised hotlines and we said you should call the bank, call us. We would intervene and ensure that that bank sells to you. However, if you go to a bank with fake ticket, fake visa, fake passport, we have told them not to sell to you. If they sell to you mistakenly because you hoodwink them to sell to you, and after 2 weeks, they check and find that you canceled your ticket or your visa is fake, they will call you because you are their customer. They have your BVN, they have your number. They will call you to return the dollar. If you do not return it, they will place your name on their website, your BVN on their website. We will pick those details. We will send them to EFCCs and other crime agencies. They will pursue you. You must return the dollar because you cannot acquire it illegally. That is our position. We conducted a study. One of the banks, in one day, sold to 52 people who said they wanted to travel. After 2 weeks, they went to check. 40 out of the 52 have cancelled their tickets. How could you have a situation where close to about 70% or 80% of people who went to a bank to buy business travel allowance on the excuse or reason that they want to travel, banks sold to them, turned back, and then went and sold it to a black market because they wanted to enjoy the arbitrage? They were asked to return it, and we are going to pursue you if you are involved in these nefarious activities. You want to do legitimate business? Conduct a legitimate business. We will be with you. That is on Bureau de Change. We are not going to go back there again. We have been studying the activities of Aboki FX in the last 2.5 years. There was a particular time I asked our colleagues to call the so-called owner of Aboki FX, that we want to engage him to understand his model, his basis, and how he came about advertising those rates. We find him as somebody, a Nigerian, who lives in England and conducts this nefarious and criminal activity on our economy. It is an economic sabotage, and we will pursue him wherever he is. We will report him to international security agencies. We will track him. Now, on Aboki, the company was registered in the UK in November 2015 and is owned by one person who claimed in his regular filings that there are other people with significant interest in that business, but he does not want to name them. So, who are these significant persons behind him? Why are they hiding? This is on UK's filing records, and we will go there and conduct those investigations. Since inception of this business, he has continued to file the same accounts to the UK government, the same £1,000 cash at hand. That is his balance sheet. £1,000 cash on the one side of the balance sheet, and then same 1,000 total net assets, same 1,000 shareholders funds, balance, net debit and credit, 1,000 both ways, consecutively for 4 years. Yet here in Nigeria, he and the company has over 25 bank accounts with about 8 banks in both Naira and dollar with significant turnover, also showing him simply milking the system through speculative activities on the Naira and collecting his proceeds in cash through a particular ATM in London. Our preliminary findings suggest that this website was built and is being used purely for the purpose of foreign exchange manipulation and speculation. They get Naira loans, use it to purchase dollars, take a position, change the rate over a given period, sell the dollars, they purchase and make a profit. Between February 2020 and May 2021, he had inflowed and sold tens of millions of Naira in FX to several Nigerian companies, and we'll find those companies as well. In contravention of our FX laws, because he is an FX dealer, illegal FX dealer, he directly benefits from the rates he quotes daily on his website. We are finalizing our investigation and must warn these companies that patronize him that they are also going to face a wrath. What kind of registration does he have that allows him to do the kind of business he's doing? People should tell me. How exactly does he collect this data? Do you know any BDC that supplies this data? He should come out and give us this information. If he doesn't come out, we will find him. I have given instruction to our experts to go after his website. And let it be clear, we will go after him because we cannot allow this to continue.
Good afternoon, Governor and members of the MPC. I'm Nancy Naji, the anchor of Moneyline with Nancy. I would like that you provide updates on eNaira. Thank you.
Yes, it is. eNaira is scheduled to launch on October 1, 2021, and we have all the approvals and mandates to launch on October 1. But it is important to understand that the eNaira is not a one-off. It is a journey that starts on October 1. October 1 marks the beginning of eNaira journey. On October 1, a Nigerian should be able to download the eNaira app from either Google Play Store or Apple App Store, onboard themselves, fund their eNaira wallets using their bank account or with cash at a registered agent location and conduct transactions such as transfers and purchases at merchants' outlets that have onboarded. Simply, you have, say, 1 million naira. Before October 1, let's imagine a bank has, say, about 10 billion naira in his account. That is physical naira in his account. We can decide we'll move, say, about, out of the 10 billion, move 2 billion in electronic e-wallet into an e-wallet for the bank. So if you're a bank customer and you have, say, 10 million naira in the bank, for your comfort of spending and making purchases, you could tell the bank to load 2 million out of your 10 naira into your wallet. So your bank balance sitting in physical cash drops to 8, while your e-wallet that you carry carries 2 million naira. With that, you can make purchases both within and out across the country. There are so many variants of the eNaira, but this is where we will start because we're not going to pretend that there are no risks in opening your system up. We will look at the various products, determine the risk, determine the best way to mitigate the risk, and before we now open it up more and more. But it's a journey that we have determined and we have decided we will start on October 1, 2021.
Thank you so much for staying tuned with us on the program today. You will surely agree that both the address by the CBN governor and subsequent media briefing that drew the curtain on the 281st edition of the meeting of the MPC of the CBN were very illuminating. Perhaps most significant were the insights offered by the CBN governor on steps taken to strengthen the naira by weakening all illegal foreign exchange markets and insisting that the importers and exporters window is the only recognized forex market. It certainly offers great relief that the CBN governor used the opportunity of the briefing to assure Nigerians that the Apex Bank will continue to monitor activities of commercial banks to avoid undue exposure to credit risk and continued recovery of output growth as the year winds down. Well, that's how much we can take on this edition of You and the Economy. To join us again next week when we go back to the focus on the interventions of the CBN in Nigeria's healthcare sector with an episode on the CBN Healthcare Research and Development Intervention Scheme, which we had promoted at the end of last week's edition of the program. Bye-bye.